Thank you for tuning in to this week's edition of Stop, Look, and Listen. I'm your host, LaTroy Gardner. This week, we have an industry insider. We have Jeremy Johnson, the owner and president of Open Door Career Services. He's a certified resume writer and career coach. So he specializes in career brand management by creating beautiful resumes and cover letters that will help you stand out. So this week we got Jeremy on hand to, just give us some insight on how to navigate this ever-changing job market and make sure that your resume, your LinkedIn profile, your interview skills are up to par. Welcome to the show, Jeremy.
Thank you for having me, Troy. It's great to be here.
Oh, no problem, man. Welcome. So I think you represent the majority of the people in the workforce as far as changing careers. On average, how often does a person change careers in their lifetime?
Oh man, I would say on average, it's at least once or twice. And the factors can vary from, maybe that person has experienced something negative on the job, or they experienced a hardship on the job. For an example, with the pandemic, maybe they were laid off and things of that nature. And a lot of the clients that I've had, for an example, a lot of them are older. And so they're thinking like, for an example, I've spent 20 years in the banking industry and, my department just laid me off. Should I pursue a job in banking, or should I really pursue what I love? And that has a lot of people thinking. And when you think about it, during the pandemic, there's been a huge surge in new businesses that have opened. I think there was a few articles last year about, especially in the Black community, how many people have opened up new businesses, whether it's in the hair care industry, whether it's in the restaurant industry and things of that nature, online stores, whether it's online for buying clothing or jewelry and things of that nature. There's been a huge boost in that, because a lot of people are thinking about, okay, if I can't rely on a job in corporate America, at least I can have something to fall back on. A lot of those businesses, they have started as side hustles, and then people realize that, what, this is truly my passion. This is what I should have done a long time ago. Instead of working for the man, let me try being the man or the woman and pursue this thing. And so it's worked out for a lot of people.
Okay. And the great thing is you can speak from experience. So like you said, you got your start in the banking industry and realized that your true passion was in helping others land better career opportunities. Was that your side hustle while you was at Wells Fargo?
To be honest with you, I just have a passion for helping people. And the interesting thing was, when I was at Wells Fargo, I was working in the fraud department. I was a consultant, and a lot of people that were on the floor, they gleamed to me because of the position that I had, because I was one of two people that was in that location. And so I have a knack for just connecting with people, walking up to your desk and starting conversations. And a lot of people were like, who are you? What do you do? And things of that nature. And so I would explain to them, and then they were like, so how did you get to where you are? And so we started generating conversations like that, to where they wanted to be mentors. So I would mentor them. I would help them with their job search. I would freshen up their resume if they wanted it. And when they had their interviews, when I had time during the day, I would schedule time with them in one of the meeting rooms and coach them on interviews. And I learned that, what, I have a passion. I'm more passionate about doing this than my own job. And so a lot of things, and it was funny because, a lot of people know what happened with Wells Fargo with the fake account scandal and things of that nature. And so with the position that I had, it was in regulatory risk and compliance, which was the group in the company that was basically responsible for everything that happened. Because when you think about it, you're supposed to have those internal controls that's supposed to catch these things, prevent and detect, fraud and things of that nature. And it never happened. So my group was hit the hardest. And so with that being said, it was causing more stress on the job, to the point where it wasn't fun anymore. Was I climbing up the corporate ladder? Was I making the money? I was, but there was some downsides to it. It was taking away time from my family because of my workload. Health wise, it was causing a lot of stress and things of that nature. And so I, just like a lot of people, they think like, okay, I'm making the money, I have the job that I thought I wanted. Is this really where I want to be? And so it had me in a place where I'm literally at a crossroads, like, okay, what should I do now? Because it's not just me. If it was up to just me, because I'm taking care of myself, is one thing, but I have a wife and two kids to consider. So, a lot went into it. And so I talked with my wife, and she's an entrepreneur as well. And a few months prior to me leaving my job, I helped her to open up her business. She has a salon, and she's a stylist and a hair loss practitioner. And I helped her with that. And I said, hey, we have something going for ourselves. If I can do this for us, on your end, I can definitely do it for me. And I just took the leap of faith, and it's been a great ride since.
Okay. What's the name of her salon?
It's called Confident Crowns Hair Restoration.
All right. Shouts out. Shouts out to Mrs. Johnson. So
Yes, yes. I'm proud of you, baby.
so even with figuring out your true passion, sometimes it becomes difficult to leave your comfort zone or that stability and start over. Just talk about the steps you took to make that dream a reality.
Well, you know what? It took a lot of planning. A lot of times people think that, because they have an idea that they can just jump at the light of, oh, I have an idea, boom, let me just do it. It takes a lot of planning, especially when it comes to a business, because you have to have a business plan. There's different aspects. You have to understand what do you want to do in your business? Do you want to provide services? Do you want to sell products? Do you understand your competition? Do you understand the cost that goes into it? Do you understand the process of, starting a business, registering your business as an LLC and things of that nature? It takes a lot of that. And so if you don't have a great foundation to stand on and then go from there, then it's going to be shaky and fall. You're setting yourself up for failure. So planning is definitely the biggest thing with that.
Okay. So did you work for another company initially, or did you just had that plan that I'm starting my own career services company?
I had it planned before I left my job at Wells Fargo in September 2019. I was planning for a while, but I kept telling my wife, and I was praying about, the perfect time. And so it was one of those things where I was like, you know what? There's never going to be a perfect time. There's no such thing as a perfect time. We're Bible believers. We're Christians, and we're just like, you know what? Let's just take that leap of faith. Let's just pray about it. And once I did that, and it was hard at first because it's one of those things where it's like, am I going to swim or am I going to sink? But if it's something that you truly believe in, that should be your motivation, to push forward. And so that's what I did. I realized what my motivation was. I believe that, this is what God called me to do. He has a plan for everyone's life. And I think that this was, mine. And it took what happened at Wells Fargo and things of that nature for me to really see, like, God wanted me to go another direction. And when you mentioned about the comfort zone, I think a lot of people, they may have that passion in them, to pursue a certain career in the industry or start their own business. But at the same time, it's like, okay, did I really am I really passionate about this? What's that motivating factor? What's your why? For me, my why was I want to make my family proud. I want to look back and say, like, you know what, I was able to help as many people as I can. I fulfilled my purpose. And a lot of people, they have the wrong why, is money. If you make the money, is that still going to be your why? And so you have to think
Uh-huh.
about and so you have to think about those things. And so once you understand what your values are, once you understand what you were meant to do, then you go for it. And that's what I did. That's what my wife did, and it's been a great ride since.
Beautiful. So just tell us about Open Door Career Services and all that it has to offer.
So Open Door Career Services is a career management firm. We offer a variety of services from resume and cover letter writing to interview preparation services. We provide LinkedIn profile optimization services, and we provide career counseling sessions. A lot of people, like we mentioned before, they have experienced things in their career to where they're trying to determine what the next steps are. So I provide services to talk through my clients with that to determine what's the best route to go, determine the best steps to do that, and then implement those steps.
Okay. So I have some general questions about some of the services you offer, and
Okay.
I'm sure a lot of other people that are looking to refine their resumes and get back out there in the job force. Probably some questions that they have in mind as well. So
Sure.
how often should we update a resume?
So you should always keep your resume current no matter what, because you never know when the right opportunity may come along. For an example, I work with a client that, they haven't updated their resume in 3 years and she's looking for new opportunities in the job market. And so there were a lot of changes that happened in 3 years, changes in responsibility, additional accomplishments that she were able to attain. So you should always keep your resume current because you never know when an opportunity may knock and you want to be ready for it.
Okay. So if someone is changing careers, how do you still make yourself look attractive to employers if all of your experience is in another area of expertise?
So if you want to change careers, the biggest thing that you want to show is one, that you're passionate, that you, no matter what the change is, that you're driven to be successful in that role. And when you transfer careers, the biggest thing that you want to show the connection in is the transferable skills. Is the skills that made me successful in this industry or in this role, is it going to help me be successful in the way that the employer wants me to in this role? So for an example, if you are great in communication here, can that communication skills that made you successful there make you successful in this role? A lot of some industries, is easier said than done. Like say for an example, if you want to transfer from, banking to like sales, a lot of those transferable skills are the same with customer service, interpersonal skills, organization, and things of that nature. But in other industries, they may be a little bit different. So you want to make sure that you can show the connection with those transferable skills. Is it going to help you be successful like it was in the prior roles? And depending on what the change in career is, are you willing to do what it takes to change careers? For an example, I had a client who she's in the banking industry and she contacted me about ideas about changing careers. So we had some counseling sessions and she mentioned how she wanted to go into counseling. And so she mentioned that, I have my degree and things of that nature. What do you believe I need to do? And so that's what I was mentioning before. Like, you want to make sure you have an effective plan into place, and being a counselor, do you know what the requirements are? And so we talked through those things. You have your degree, but it's in business administration. And counseling, you need a degree in counseling or psychology or a related field. You need a certification in counseling. And depending on what field you want to go, you have to have additional trainings and certifications for that. So it was one of those things where she had to realize, is this something that I want to do in my career where I feel like I'm starting over? And I always tell people it's never too late. You can be an entry level person, or you can be an experienced professional with 10 plus years of experience. If you're passionate about this career change and you want to pursue it, if you believe that this is meant for you, then do it. Don't let any roadblock stop you. If one door closes, make a door and make your dreams come true.
Okay. So how far should you go back regarding work history? And should you tailor a resume strictly for the position you're applying for, meaning all of your work history related to the position that you're applying for, or do you just include all of your work history?
So with your resume, it's a strategic document. So when you think about your resume, it's literally a marketing tool to help, get your foot in the door for interviews. So that means that in your resume, everything that you have included in there has to be strong, it has to be relevant. You have to think about the theme of your resume. So if you're thinking about going into the healthcare industry or the banking industry, you have to understand the different terminologies and what those industries look for. So you want to keep that in mind. As far as the work history, you have to make sure that you include at least 10 to 15 years. You don't want to go past that because you don't want to be in a position where you're discriminated against because of ageism. So you always want to at least go back 10 to 15 years.
Okay. So just talk about the mistakes that you typically notice when you review a client's resume for the first time.
Oh man, where can I start? Well, well, the one thing that I always see is that the resume has an outdated format. It's the old black and white Charlotte Observer newspaper type of thing. And so when you think about resumes today, they're more modernized. Again, they're a marketing tool. So a lot of people, don't think that it's okay like to use a splash of color and things of that nature, but it's okay to do that because again, when you think about marketing, you want to think about something that's going to be appealing to the audience, which is the recruiter and the hiring manager, to compel them to read your resume and make sure that it at least generates the interest to call you for an interview. A lot of things that I see in a resume as far as errors is um, grammar, punctuation, um, formatting inconsistencies. It's so many things that go into that. And with resumes, what I see is that their document is typically too long. A lot of people, when they think about their resume, they think that they have to put like their whole career history in there, like we were talking about before. How many years do you include? I've seen resumes as long as 5 pages, and I've had some even longer than that. And so, yeah, it's very long. And so I always tell people that when you think about the employer and when you're applying for a job, you have to realize that you may be one of hundreds of people that's applying for that same position. So the recruiter or hiring manager, they want to read through these resumes, fairly quickly. And on average, the employer is only reading your resume for 10 seconds or less. So you have to have a strong selling point in your resume, at least in that top half, for them to compel them to read the rest of your resume to see if they even want to read the rest of your resume and bring you in for an interview. So that's another thing. Resumes are typically way too long, and employers, their attention span is very short.
Yeah. Yeah, I've served on many search committees at UNC Chapel Hill. And first off, we're looking for the minimum qualifications. So we're instantly eliminating everyone that doesn't meet the minimum qualifications. And then beyond that, we're looking for um, the direct experience related to the position that we're hiring for. So, I mean, I think that's important just from my position, hiring
Mhm.
um, employees. Let's get into the LinkedIn profile optimization.
Okay.
Speak on the importance of having a strong profile on LinkedIn.
Oh man, if you have not been on LinkedIn and you don't know what it is, you're missing out on a lot of opportunities. The biggest thing that I love about LinkedIn is it's a professional network. Social media is very huge. So in the career aspect of it, you can find jobs on LinkedIn, not only on the option to click on a job link and look for jobs, search for jobs that way, but you can also be aware of opportunities that are presented through your network. You can People underestimate the power of networking. Even to this day, even with my business, I generate a lot of business through networking on LinkedIn because I get referrals through my network. Even though I work for myself, because I have a strong profile, I still get contacted by recruiters and hiring managers just to see if I'm interested in going back to corporate America just by having a strong profile. And a lot of people don't realize that employers spend a lot of money on LinkedIn to go into the back end to search for qualified candidates. And so there may be times where you may be presented with an opportunity for employment that hasn't even been posted yet on their corporate website, but because of networking and because of your strong profile, they're willing to reach out to you to see if you're interested and go through the application route that way, even before you go through the corporate setting. So having a strong profile, it helps not only in securing opportunity and things of that nature, but it helps to enhance your personal brand, your career brand, because you never know. Even if you have a great job right now, just through your network, an opportunity can come up just like that through your network. And because you know someone, you can get a better opportunity where you are right now just by having a great profile. So LinkedIn is definitely very important to have.
So, in a similar vein, as a line of questioning for resume writing, with your LinkedIn profile, should it be focused squarely on, um, say, the direction you're heading in? So, say if you have a side
Mhm.
hustle in a career and you're ready to focus on the side hustle, should you cater your LinkedIn profile towards the side hustle?
So with your resume and your LinkedIn, yes, it should be structured with the mindset that if I want a career in sales and that's my desired industry and what I want to stay in, that's what it should be geared to. And so that's what I was mentioning before with the resume. In your resume, because it's a marketing tool, you want to make sure that it includes that strong, relevant information that employers will be looking for from someone who is a sales professional or a medical professional and things of that nature. And your profile should be structured the same way. Like for an example, if you have a resume and you want it, you create a resume for a sales position. Well, if you have like volunteer opportunities where you're volunteering at a church, or you like to volunteer at just kids schools and things of that nature, you're a fitness instructor, that doesn't matter about sales. So you only want to include the information that's strong and relevant, that's going to get your foot in the door. Now, it's okay to mention those things in an interview or in your resume where it's relevant, to where there's a touch of sales, or there's a touch of medical expertise where you utilize. But if it doesn't have anything to do with your career focus at all, then it shouldn't be included in there. And that's the same thing in interviewing. When you're interviewing for a specific position, you want your responses to be geared to what the employer is looking for that position. If it's sales, make sure that you bring up experiences that's sales related, and you were able to generate results and things of that nature. You don't want to bring up anything that's not relevant, because you're going to hurt your chances of being moved on in that interview process.
Okay. So, do employers typically visit other social media platforms to vet a potential hire?
Yes, definitely. Employers, they will do their due diligence. Not only will they verify the information on your resume through using e-verify, but they will also go through your social media platform, because not only do they want to see if you can do the job, which is the reason for the interview. They ask you questions to see if you have the skills and experience that they're looking for. Not only will they do that, but they will also see, like, okay, is this someone that I want to work with? So you can be
Mhm.
the smartest person in the world and things of that nature, but if your profile shows something different, it's like, okay, I know this person is great at what they do based on their responses, but is this someone that may cause trouble on the job? Is this someone that I may have issues with down the road? And they can make immediate decisions on that just by your profile. A picture at a party that you didn't care about, that you was tagged in, but it gave out the wrong impression, so that can hurt your chances, and you may not even know it. So you want to be careful about what you post on social media. Even with your LinkedIn profile, you want to be careful about a lot of things that you have on there. Especially with your LinkedIn profile pictures, you want to have a professional profile picture. You don't want something where you and your boys are posted up at a party. I mean, that's not cool. When you're looking for a professional position, you have to keep everything professional, and it means everything.
Mhm. So, to further delve into the interview prep, what services do you provide when it comes to that?
So with the interview prep, the way that I structure that service is, I have a mock interview set up to where we're conducting a mock interview through Zoom, and I set it up like the real thing. And when the client reaches out to me and say that they have an interview coming up, or they just want to brushing up on skills, I have them either send me the job post for the job that they are interviewing for, or if they just want to brushing up on skills because they're applying for a job and they want to be ready for it. I'll look up, similar positions in that regards. I do my research based on, what the interviewer may ask, and then I create mock questions to conduct, in the interview that way. And so when I'm doing the mock interview, I look at a lot of important things. I look at the background setting. I'm looking at your posture. I'm looking at how you're answering the questions, whether you're uncomfortable, whether you're confident. I'm listening to how you're responding. Are you confident in your responses? Are you rambling? Are you using a lot of ums? Are you getting lost in your own words that you forgot where you are in your response and you have everybody lost? I'm looking at a lot of those things, and I'm taking notes so that I can provide feedback on what the strengths are, what the opportunities are, and providing tips and tools on how to improve upon that.
Okay. So, how do you balance the often troublesome task of overselling yourself versus underselling yourself in an interview?
So I always tell people that it's okay to toot your own horn, but you want to be balanced to where you're not cocky. And I always tell people that it's okay to be confident, but but you want to dial it back, because cockiness can be a turnoff. I always tell people who are underselling themselves to, I motivate them, because a lot of times when I'm working on resumes, a lot of people are amazed about, how I can transform what they had and embellish who they are. And they're like, wow, I didn't even think that I did that. And so when I'm working on resumes, I ask a lot of questions. And with those questions, I tell people that as you're answering these questions, I'm implementing the information in the resume, but it's good that you're thinking on it, because when you go into the interview, you're going to need that same thought process. And so as they're reading through their new resume, I'm looking at them and I'm talking with them, I'm coaching, and I'm saying, hey, you thought that this was so minimum, but you have no idea that as we're looking at these job requirements and the job description, that this is exactly what the employer is looking for. So you don't want to undersell yourself. You want to be confident in the fact that, your light shines so bright that the employer is gleaming to it and they want to consider you. And that's going to be very important, because a lot of people, when they undersell themselves in the interview, they're underselling themselves in the salary requirements that they're asking for. And that's very important, because the way that you sell yourself, it not only works in how you want to get that job opportunity, it works another way in your salary requirements, because a lot of employers, if they really want you, they can give you above and beyond what you're asking for, but it's all in how you ask yourself and you understand it, what the salary requirements are for the job.
So when is a good time to discuss salary expectations? Or do
So,
you put negotiable on there
so,
on the
so
application?
So a lot of times in the interview process, with the initial interview that's conducted over the phone with the recruiter, that's typically one of the questions that I ask. What is the salary requirements? And so I tell a lot of people, and I'll tell you, the listeners now, one thing that you want to do about a position is, not only do you want to do your research on the company, you want to do your research about the culture, the benefits. You want to do your research, because as a job seeker who's needing employment, you don't want to just settle for anything. You have to make a list of what your negotiables are and what your non-negotiables are. So if your non-negotiable is, I want a salary no less than $60,000, do you want to do your research on those type of jobs? Now, a lot of job posts are not going to have the salary requirements on there, but there are sites that you can use to do your research about what the pay scale is for that job. One website that you can use is glassdoor.com. I tell a lot of people about that website, because one, you can get a lot of insight about the company, about the culture, just by the reviews that have been posted by current and former employees. But you can also use a website called payscale.com. You can research any position and get the information about the pay range, and you can determine what you think your worth is in that salary. The employer is not going to tell you, and so it's up to you to do your research, know your worth, and come in with a number that's reasonable that you can negotiate with.
Okay. So is it good to make it known in an interview your weaknesses in certain areas?
Well, the funny thing is, there may be questions in the interview that are designed to see what your weaknesses are. I remember when I interviewed for a position at Wells Fargo, one of the questions that was asked was, "Tell me about a time when you failed." and
Right.
that question threw me for a loop. I was like, "Wait, what?" Because when you think about it, when you're going into an interview, you want to sell yourself. You think that selling yourself is about how you were able to achieve this, like how you were able to exceed sale goals, improve customer service, drive quality improvement, things of that nature. But employers want to see, if you fail because we're not perfect, how do you handle that? And a lot of things that they want to hear in your response is, okay, when you made this mistake, did you learn from it? Did you get better? Were you coachable? When you receive feedback, did you receive it? Or did you just blow up and then just decide that you wanted to quit? How you handle a negative event, that's going to be very telling, because the employer knows that no one is perfect, but it's how you respond that makes the difference. So if you can say, for an example, that you learned from it, that you recognize that you made a mistake and you corrected it, it caused you to be a better person. Those are the things that the employer want to see. So if you could present that information in that way to where it sells, then it works.
Okay. So let's talk about the overall landscape of the job market as the country begins to open up, recovering from the pandemic. So we have college grads, that, this could be what, three graduating classes that are
Yes.
all out there in the job market simultaneously. We have those that are trying to get back on their feet that was possibly unemployed. We
Hmm.
have professionals seeking upward mobility, and then those changing careers. Not to mention employees that have fallen in love with this, virtual, remote culture or the hybrid
Yes.
schedule. So
Hmm.
just forecast the adjustments employers will make to attract such a very talent pool.
So with the with what they would do is, first it's all business. So they're going to look at the budget to see, okay, how can I even post a job to where I want to hire someone? Because the pandemic has affected so many businesses. For an example, there have been instances where there has been a job posted. I remember working with a client and they interviewed for a position. They were in the interview process for 2 months. It was down to them and another person. And when it was time, it was the time frame for the hiring manager to make a decision. She got an email saying that the job was pulled. They're not hiring for that position anymore. So it's going to go back to the budget and the business need. And and that's unfortunate because a lot of people need jobs. Prior to the pandemic, those are wealth opportunities out there. But because so many businesses are still trying to figure it out, there's not as many job openings out there as there were before. And so with that being said, I always tell clients to, practice patience because, even when you get a revamped resume and things of that nature, it doesn't mean that as soon as you apply for a job, you're going to hear a response back within that same week. It may take time. And again, it's going to be based on the needs of the employer. Are we going to be able to, satisfy our budget by hiring somebody to fill this need, or am I just going to hire somebody? Am I going to just promote somebody from within and save a little bit of money? Every business is in, they're in the business of, not only saving money, but they're in the business of, trying to see like, hey, where can we kind of cut corners in a sense? Am I going to overwork this person rather than paying somebody? That's what a lot of people are doing. And so that's what I always tell people, just practice patience. A job may be out there, but it's not going to guarantee that, it's going to continue to be there, from when you saw it online to when you finally hear an interview. Different things can happen because of what may be going on with that business.
Okay. So like typically with the clients you consult, I mean, do they handle I guess, the brutal honesty, like when it comes to, I guess, you directing them on a career path or helping them realize what their passion is?
They are accepting. It is hard to hear a lot of times, but I'm in the business. If customers are paying me for my consultative service and things of that nature, I'm not going to undercut you and not give you the truth, even if I believe it's brutal. I'm going to give you the honest truth, but it helps because a lot of clients, they realize like, I never thought about that before, or I never saw that in myself before, and things of that nature. And so it helps because when I do help clients prepare for interviews, whether they get the job or not, they can say that, what, that interview went way better than my previous interviews because of the tips and things that you were able to, coach me on and provide to me that really helped. And at the end of the day, the biggest thing where it comes down to is confidence. If you can't be confident in yourself, how can you show the employer that you're confident in doing the job? How can they be confident in you that if they hire you, you can do the job? So at the end of the day, it's based on confidence. I always tell people that, that interview is your one shot to shine. And out of hundreds of people, you were one out of a handful of people that was chosen for that interview. I always tell them to make it count. Do your
Uh-huh.
research, practice, practice a lot of times, whether it's in front of a mirror, whether it's on a Zoom, you're looking at yourself in the camera. I mean, it takes that practice because at the end of the day, if it's something that you've been waiting on, like say for an example, you've been in the job market for 8 months and the opportunity finally came along, you don't want to drop the ball on that opportunity. You want to make the most out of it. And I tell people, even in the job search, I mean, it can take a while. even in the interview process, the average time from when you apply for a job to getting an offer is at least 6 to 8 weeks. So I always practice patience, but in that time, you want to make sure that you are prepared. You want to make sure again that you're practicing and you're doing your research so that, if you're asked certain questions, behavioral questions, or if you're asked questions with an open-ended or closed to learn about you and what you're able to provide, you'll be ready for it.
Okay. So Jeremy, before I let you leave, feel free to plug Open Door Career Services again. If you want to mention the prices of the services, feel free to do that, where you're located, whether you do virtual or online consulting, whatever you need to share.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jeremy Johnson. Again, I'm the owner and chief resume writer of Open Door Career Services, where I provide resume and cover letter writing, LinkedIn profile optimization services. I provide career counseling, and I also provide resume updating services. My prices vary on career level, so feel free to visit my website at opendoorcareers.com. You can schedule a consultation with me, and you can also learn more about my services and prices that I provide. You can also follow me on Facebook as well at Open Door Careers, and you can also follow me on LinkedIn, linkedin.com/Jeremy Johnson, NCRW.
Okay. And before closing, if you have any advice, for job seekers and other tools that will make, them more attractive, like getting a professional headshot, providing work samples, feel free to leave with that tidbit.
So the tip that I want to leave with job seekers is, one, you want to be patient in the job search. I know that things may be hard right now with the pandemic, but you don't want to be in the position where you just settle for anything and then you accept the job to the point where you're going to be right back in the job market because you hate that job. Sometimes it's worth it to wait. And I also want to say too that a lot of times you may look at a resume price and you may think that it's too much. Don't think of the resume price as a cost. Think of it as an investment into your future. You never know how spending a couple of dollars here in a resume will yield you at least another $10,000, $15,000 increase in your yearly salary. That's what happened with a lot of my clients. They were initially nervous at first with the price, but at the end of the day, they've secured a salary that was more than what they asked for, and is double what they were making in their previous jobs. So, with my services, not only are you paying for the service, but you're paying for the additional resources that I provide that can give you the best chance in landing those interviews and hopefully the job that you're seeking.
All right. And that was once again Jeremy Johnson, owner and president of Open Door Career Services, a certified resume writer and career coach. Thank you for your time this week, sir. No problem. All right. So for Stop, Look, and Listen, I'm your host, LaTroy Gardner. See you next week. Peace and blessings.
Hey everybody, my name is Cammie and thank you so much for watching our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe for more great content and don't forget to check us out on social media at GOB Radio Network.